Hundreds of pages and pages of intelligence reports reveal a terrorist organization operating in Europe since the 90s.
If they decided tomorrow, they could really transform Europe in a battle blood.
Most Europeans have never heard of it. Yet, official documents reveal this group has built an intricate criminal network across the continent. Its name, the PKK.
You can't justify human trafficking on a big scale that the PKK is engaged in.
Extortion, robbery, money laundering, trafficking of drugs and humans, recruitment of teenagers and children, and training camps in the heart of Europe.
PKK, from drug trafficking alone, can earn up to $500 million a year.
Government and security agencies have been turning a blind eye to this link between the PKK and organized crime. We've studied pages and pages of official intelligence reports and cables. We interviewed senior police officers. So, should I not ask about the PKK?
You have 7 more minutes.
Intelligent experts. From your point of view, was it a mistake to choose the PKK as an ally?
No, I can't comment on that.
State prosecutors.
No use asking me questions about PKK because most of the time you will have always the same answer, so I can't comment on that.
And even drug dealers.
These people must pay tax for the organization.
Which organization?
That organization was called the PKK.
A journey that took us across 6 European countries. The PKK was founded in Turkey in 1978 by a group of militant students led by Abdullah Öcalan. 6 years later, they launched an armed campaign against Turkey. They claim an independent Kurdish state inside Turkish borders. So far, an estimated 40,000 people have died as a result of the PKK terror campaign against Turkey. The PKK is listed as a terrorist organization by the US, the EU, and Turkey. But both the US and the EU chose PKK-affiliated groups as key allies in the fight against Daesh in Syria and Iraq. They've provided these groups with weapons, money, and military training for the past few years. Now, the PKK is believed to be stronger than ever. Germany, the largest PKK stronghold in Europe. According to this recent German intelligence report, the group has 14,000 members across the country. The report reveals how every year the PKK extorts almost $31 million from Kurdish business people in Europe. Between September 2015 and early 2016, the group raised $16 million in Germany alone, even though it was banned in the country in 1993. The report says violence remains part of PKK's ideology. The group continues to recruit militants inside Germany.
Die stoppt den Marsch und es kommt, was kommen muss. Sie geraten aneinander.
This pro-PKK demonstration took place in Düsseldorf a few days before we arrived. It ended in violence, with several police officers wounded.
Und als Auflage wurde unter anderem von der Düsseldorfer Polizei gesagt, dass man eben keine Abbilder von Abdullah Öcalan, sei es auf T-Shirts, Bildern oder auf Flaggen, zeigen darf. In der Tat war es so, dass der Versammlungszug ganz normal anfing, mit beiden Aufzügen. Diese Versammlung ist dann von uns gestoppt worden, nachdem massiv Fahnen mit dem Konterfeuer von Abdullah Öcalan gezeigt wurden. Die PKK ist hier in Deutschland verboten. Und die Anmelder als solches sind nicht irgendwie PKK-Mitglieder gewesen. Zumindest ist uns das so als Plattform, als ein Bündnis angemeldet worden.
The alliance in question is known as Nev Dem. Düsseldorf police say it has no known links to the PKK. But page 244 of the report reveals that the authorities know Nev Dem is a cover for the PKK. The group is named several times in connection with bomb attacks on mosques and Turkish interests across Germany. But it's allowed to hold demonstrations on the street of an EU member state and to draw in a new generation of supporters. From Düsseldorf, we head to the German capital, Berlin. We hope the police here will shed some light into the PKK's crimes. But when we arrive, we sense they're playing things down.
Die Einstufung terroristische Vereinigung gilt an der Stelle für uns insofern nicht in erster Linie, weil das eine Bewertung ist außerhalb des Polizeilichen und eine, die letztlich nur die Staatsanwaltschaft treffen kann. Insgesamt unsere Einschätzungen, unsere Erfahrungen gehen eher in die Richtung, dass Deutschland insgesamt ein Rückzugsraum ist für Anhänger der PKK, kein Aktionsraum, sondern eher ein Gebiet, in dem man sich vorbereiten kann, möglicherweise auch gedanklich auf bestimmte Dinge, die auch der Werbung für die PKK dienen.
He's even cagey when discussing the group. Do the police keep PKK members in Berlin under strict surveillance?
Ja, das ist natürlich ein Thema, worüber nicht offen gesprochen werden kann. Das heißt, verdeckte Maßnahmen in irgendeiner Form sind nicht Bestandteil dessen, worüber wir sprechen, grundsätzlich nicht. Insofern bleibt das auch an dieser Stelle so.
The German Ministry of Interior has extended its list of banned symbols related to the organization and takes the actions of the PKK in Germany far more seriously than the police. Is PKK a real threat?
Yes.
For Europe and for Germany?
Gerade die gewalttätigen Aktionen der PKK in Deutschland, immer wieder auf deutschem Boden, führen dazu, dass die deutschen Sicherheitsbehörden die PKK prioritär beobachten, bearbeiten, was sich auch in den Verfassungsschutzberichten und auch dieses Jahr in dem erweiterten Kennzeichenverbot widerspiegelt. Sie wird unterstützt von linksextremistischen Gruppierungen, so rum würde ich es formulieren. Ja.
But it's just as elusive when we press further. How many members of the PKK are in Germany?
Das habe ich nicht parat. Müsste ich jetzt nicht. Ja. Ja.
So, thank you very much. Dankeschön.
Ja. Ich kann das auch nicht vor der Kamera sagen. Also wir kennen das Mobilisierungspotenzial, aber wir...
From Berlin, we move on to Dresden and the headquarters of the German Domestic Intelligence Agency. This is an intelligence service?
Yes, we are part of the intelligence family of Germany's security architecture.
The latest intelligence report about the PKK criminal network in Germany was compiled here.
It's a violent group that carries out terrorist attacks. They use Germany especially to raise funds, to be a safe haven for some of its members, but also to recruit young people for the armed parts of the PKK that fight in Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and other places.
Is the recruitment of people by the PKK not only in Germany but in several European countries a reality?
Yes.
Including children?
It depends on how you define children.
I mean, underage.
Oh, well, it's teenagers. So it's young people, obviously. You want them to become fighters. Well, obviously, the PKK is banned in Germany. It can't work under this name. So the PKK has changed names, has founded youth organizations, women's organizations, other subgroups where they try to camouflage or conceal that these are PKK-run organizations.
The PKK has collected donations totaling 25 million euros in Europe. Of that amount, 13 million in Germany alone. That's a lot of money.
The German part of the whole, revenue of Western Europe is pretty high. I think most of the money comes from people who donate. There might be other sources, but I can't comment on that.
Well, there are several reports, including from the European Parliament, saying the PKK is involved in drug trafficking. For example, using the Balkan route. I imagine you can't comment on that either?
No, I can't.
Europe and the US were in need of an ally, a partner in the field to fight against Daesh in Syria and Iraq. From your point of view, was it a mistake to choose the PKK as an ally?
No, I can't comment on that.
But the German intelligence report is clear. The suffering of the Kurds in Syria and Iraq leads to an improvement of the PKK's reputation. And no attention is paid to the fact that the PKK and its affiliates are part of the conflict. According to German intelligence, the PKK propagates the necessity of terrorist violence against Turkey. Its German-based units support the militants acting inside Turkish borders. On New Year's Eve 2016, a 15-year-old Syrian refugee was beaten by a group of men in Bremen. A few hours later, he died. The German media paid little attention to the story, but Martin Lejeune decided to investigate.
I found out through the names of the suspects that they did propaganda for the PKK. They did rap videos, they published their rap videos on YouTube.
Do these rap videos have a goal?
Yeah, they had a goal to recruit people for the PKK or to do propaganda for the PKK.
Lejeune started to investigate the PKK. Then this happened.
Die Jugendlichen aus deren Ecke da der Angriff gekommen. Sie sind noch hier in der Nähe, oder?
Ja. I was attacked by PKK guys in Bremen during my investigation of the killing of the Syrian boy.
Was mit der Nase an? Ja, das.
People are afraid to be hurt or to be killed. It's a powerful organization in Germany, the PKK. And they have done a lot of investments in Germany. This makes them also economically very powerful.
A documentary by the German TV channel ARD looked into how some Kurdish people surviving on state pensions started buying houses here. We want to follow up on these accusations, so we head to Celle in Lower Saxony. We hope to find out how the PKK invests its money. The properties were in exclusive neighborhoods in Celle, and most cost millions of dollars. It revealed that the buyers paid in cash, and the money was delivered in small plastic bags.
Assumedly, the PKK uses frontmen to run businesses or to buy real estate property as a money laundering. These frontmen are sometimes very well established people, lawyers, businessmen, well-known citizens of the community. You know, nobody wants to blame such a citizen.
We weren't able to prove a direct link between the money used to buy the houses and the PKK's drug profits. we approached journalists, officials, and police involved in the investigation. They all refused to talk. They said they had already put their lives in danger. But one man did agree to meet us, with one condition: his identity would not be revealed.
Hello? Gave me your number. Yes, I'm on the way to Bremen. Can we meet at 4 p.m. in a hotel? Yes. 4 p.m.? Is that okay for you?
A German citizen now, in his 60s, he spent years in jail for drug trafficking. And he's familiar with the PKK.
I know many, and these people must pay tax for the organization.
Which organization?
That organization was from the PKK.
The PKK uses the Balkan route for trafficking with drugs? Do they have links with the local mafias?
They working all together. You buy it some kilo for maybe $1,000 or $2,000. In Europe, it's not 1,000, 2,000, it's 40,000. It's a lot of money. All people make police, douane, all.
But that means that the PKK is making a lot of money, right?
That's a lot of money. She needs a lot of money for the war.
And so where do they send this money? To Turkey?
Yeah, if it's back to Turkey, or maybe she make this to Russia or for
To buy weapons?
Yeah, for arms. PKK army had a lot of money.
How do they bring drugs to Europe? From Turkey to Europe, there are a lot of borders.
The border is no problem.
How?
Maybe one big truck. Inside the truck, maybe 100 kilos. No people go.
To which countries do they smuggle these drugs?
All Europe.
And the police don't catch them? They know nothing about this?
Yeah, they pay for the police.
The PKK's European trail now takes us to St. Andrews in Scotland. The EU has been concerned about the link between terrorism and organized crime as far back as 2012. It commissioned a Scotland-based expert to investigate.
The PKK historically has been a very good case study on the relationship between organized crime and terrorism.
Makarenko's findings were published in this report. It concludes that groups like Al-Qaeda and Al-Shabaab do indeed have direct links with organized crime, as does the PKK. It's involved in extortion, robbery, arms smuggling, as well as trafficking.
PKK and illicit activities in Europe, that's an interesting question. We've always known the relationship between drugs and the PKK. We need to focus on PKK as a criminal entity that still exists, as opposed to that terrorist threat. Human trafficking is notable, I think up there with drugs. PKK has been known for human trafficking over the years. As the PKK becomes more operational, if the environment allows it or pushes it to become more operational, its trafficking routes used for drugs and humans will be used for arms and fighters.
The PKK provides a notable example of a crime-terror link and simultaneously demonstrates how this interrelationship operates in Europe. It also suggests possible links between the PKK and drug cartels in South America. It concludes that drug trafficking is the PKK's most profitable source of funds. Conservative estimates are more than $600 million a year.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know how much you'll pay at origin, and you know how much somebody's going to pay before they start distributing it to people. So 500 million a year off of illicit drugs, credible. These guys are like a small business and they can make things happen. They can make things work. PKK, in terms of threats to Europe, is there and is getting stronger. Syria is feeding it, northern Iraq's feeding it. Everything that's going on in its immediate neighborhood is saying you can be stronger because there will be people who support you. And they're able to do it, yes, because they've saved money. They've saved that money that they gained from criminal enterprise for a rainy day, and this is their rainy day.
Our next destination is London. Nick Huchan is the author of The Washing Machine, a study of how terrorist groups launder money. Huchan finds that the PKK has concentrated on heroin to avoid competing with traditional Kurdish family gangs, who lack the international contacts to import the drug.
The PKK is known to be very active in the, I think called the Golden Crescent, in Iran, in Afghanistan, in Central Asia. It is the key transporter of drugs from that region. %80 of the drugs from this region that passes through Turkey passes through the organs, the units of the PKK to Europe. The PKK is involved at all stages of the drugs, from the growing through to the sales.
In his book, Nick Huchan discloses some important details about the PKK criminal network in London, saying, the PKK runs an intricate protection racket in Green Lanes, where many restaurants have to pay an insurance fee or face retaliation. The area's smoky Domino's clubs are nerve centers for heroin selling.
North London, in the area of its Green Lanes. And this is the stronghold of Kurdish gangs. They own a lot of shops. They own a lot of property. They operate extortion rackets. They operate taxi firms. They are a powerful community. And I don't think the police touch them.
Huchan concludes many Europeans are paying a price too, in the form of growing numbers of addicts drawn to the PKK's cheap heroin.
I think as far as I can see, drugs trafficking is the biggest financial source for the PKK.
From London, we travel to Belgium, home of the EU headquarters. It's one of the first countries to report the existence of PKK training camps inside its borders. This classified report was delivered in 2015 to the Belgian Parliament by Committee P, a police watchdog. It says Belgian police ignored information that the PKK was running training camps in the northeastern region of the Ardennes.
My name is Erik van der Sijpt. I'm federal magistrate at the Federal Prosecution Office of Brussels, Belgium.
Local media reveals an appeal pending in the Belgian courts in a long-running case involving the PKK. Preliminary investigation started in 2006. In March 2010, police raided 18 properties across Belgium to gather evidence.
I can't comment on that because that's an ongoing investigation.
About the PKK?
Yes.
The two men in this video are among 36 PKK members suspected of kidnapping children from across Europe. It's believed they've been sent to training camps in Belgium, Greece, Germany, the Netherlands, Iraq, and Syria. 36 people are accused of extortion and child kidnapping, correct?
I can't comment on that. There's no use asking me questions about PKK because most of the time you will have always the same answer, so.
And this case is presently in the courts, correct?
Yes, still pending in the Court of Cassation. That's the higher court of appeal in Belgium.
But last year, the Belgian Court of Appeal made a controversial decision. It upheld a ruling by a lower court that the PKK's actions could not be defined as terrorism.
The decision of the first court and the first court of appeal was that PKK is not a terrorist organization. That's the bottom line, really.
And the prosecutor's office doesn't agree with that, is that correct?
We don't agree, that's why we made another appeal at the Court of Cassation, yes.
And when did this investigation of the PKK begin?
I can't comment on that.
Well, it says here since 2006, according to the media.
Well, it's about right, yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
All the information we have gathered has ended up here at the European Parliament in a bundle of papers that just gathers dust. Like the report compiled by Tamara Makarenko, it too links the PKK with organized crime. But, again, the EU has taken no action. Instead, in 2016, the group was allowed to set an exhibition at the European Parliament headquarters. We'll continue to expose the impact the PKK is having on European lives. Our next destinations are the Netherlands, Denmark, and Switzerland, where we'll meet, among others, a former intelligence officer, a man who's been tracking the organization's activities since the 90s.